Welcome to this edition of Las Películas Sábados Gigantes at the Cinemarijuana Theater. All right.
Woo! Just had to get some out.
How exciting. How exciting.
Oh, man.
We are a cinema appreciation society that meets... we're that's
You don't even know what we are.
that's elite that meets to greet new movies. To greet movies, new and old.
The elite that meet once a week to greet some movies.
Yes, and then discuss them, and yes,
And podcasts,
and
then you listen to the podcast,
and then tell you about them, because this way you don't have to watch them yourself.
And it comes out here.
Yeah, just like that. And we are here this week to discuss the latest round in our Cinema Under Glass series, which is Chicks Before Dicks, Bros Before Hoes, the buddy picture, and
the woman picture,
or the bromance,
the
she
she
womance,
buddy picture,
the animance. And we are here to discuss this week. We watched from 2011, The Intouchables. This is a French film written and directed by Olivier Nakache and Eric Toledano. If I'm pronouncing that right, I don't know.
Probably not.
Yeah, you're probably not. But
butchering it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm also butchering my mic stand. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
And you were arguing about us fiddling with our mic stands.
I know, right?
Stop doing that, or else you're going to go blind. All right.
Okay. I'm trying to stop it from making noise. Anyways, okay, all right. And this movie was selected by our esteemed Dr. Matlis.
Ooh, I'm esteemed.
Yes, of course. Held in very high regard among this company, for sure.
He did explain entropy in a wonderful way.
Yes, several.
Which you still didn't get.
I've been trying for years now.
No, I think I'm starting to get it. I think
swear
I'm.
It's the sandcastle one. The sandcastle one doesn't work.
No, I think I'm starting to get it. It totally did. Yeah.
Well, listeners will have to tune into our other science podcast
to see, to see how this develops.
Science with Dr. Matt, esteemed Dr. Matt,
to see how this
coming to a podcast near you, where the esteemed Dr. Matt explains all of life's mysteries and science
and the mysteries of the universe, and possibly some mysteries from beyond the other dominion,
and the unsolved mysteries of unsolved mysteries.
If we're lucky, yes. So let's get started with introductions. Clockwise, starting with me. I'm Ed.
Wait, what's clockwise? Oh, I'm clockwise.
Yeah,
you're clockwise.
Straight up.
Yeah, all right, cool. Hi, I'm Zeb. I don't know what clockwise
means.
I missed last week. Give me a break, Kenzie. Stop victim shaming me.
It's ring rust.
Check your privilege.
It's ring rust.
I'm John.
I'm Kenzie, and that was Zeb over there.
I'm Chris. Still.
Hi, I'm Matt.
All right.
The esteemed Dr.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Oh, it was a great esteemed Dr. Matt.
I'm referring to myself.
He picked a French film for us to watch.
What's that guy? It's
I'm
Frank something.
sophisticated.
The guy from the Jack Benny show. The guy,
Fred Clark? No, Fred Clark was in
It's Frank something.
The jerk who goes yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy who goes.
The yes man.
Yeah.
The guy who goes. I want to say the Buxtons are not thieves.
No, but Pomeroy's.
Yes. Yes.
Are not kooks.
Thank you.
Why do you talk like that?
Boy.
That is true.
Yeah, that
Frank
guy.
Nelson.
Frank.
He
Yeah, I
was
knew it
on
was Frank
Sanford
something.
and Son as well.
Yes, and Jack Benny. All right.
Okay.
So
now we got Frank Nelson.
So we're talking about the Intouchables.
And Frank Nelson.
Before we get into discussing what we thought of the film, it's Bone Zone time.
Bone
Zone. It's a
first description.
synopsis.
I think Ed was.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Man, dude, you and Zeb both are really having.
I want to know who she wants to fuck.
It's the holidays. Is
that too much to ask?
Okay.
I, as a concerned citizen, want to know who in this film Kenzie wants to fuck.
I think
Who is in the Bone Zone?
You
That
and-
is what America needs to know
That you and everyone
right
else.
now. Make America Bone Zone again.
It's kind of like how Texas decides what textbooks the rest of the country will use.
Kenzie decides
Who goes in the Bone Zone.
True, but first the synopsis and then
Yes.
the Bone
Yeah.
Zone.
Yeah.
True.
Okay,
True.
Kenzie, tell us what this film, The Intouchables, is about.
Okay, this film is about a paraplegic, wealthy, good-looking man who hires a delinquent young man to be his caretaker. And they develop a fun and interesting relationship. And You fall in love with both of them, and it's very heartwarming, and it's also hilarious, which is a good thing. And it has subtitles, but that doesn't even matter because you get distracted and you forget that they're there. And you're just like, it doesn't even matter anymore. So if you hate foreign films, it's a good one to watch.
So good that
Yes.
it overcomes the
The stigma
the
of
stigma,
subtitles.
the handicap
But it's
of being foreign.
But that's what when people have
Yes.
a problem with subtitles. That's my point. It's a good movie. You don't even notice anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it.
Well,
You just get into it.
I will say this though. I mean, by no means do I have any issue with subtitles, but the thing of it is, I think you kind of take for granted how much you can kind of absorb without having to read it, and I think especially watching at home, there tends to be little distractions that will come up. That even though you're not like really getting distracted from the film, that can take you out of it. You know what I mean? Because you have to stay so focused. Whereas like when it's in your native language, you just kind of hear, like you can look away and still hear what the hell there's.
Like you could
No.
almost, like if it's in your native language, you could hear it through like a bathroom door or something.
Well, yeah,
And
exactly.
you can still know what's going on,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
So
like if you were like,
well, no, but
if
I
you
mean,
were like on the floor of a bathroom.
Yeah. Like
For
if
like
you,
90% of the
Alright.
movie, you could totally still tell what was happening
Okay.
during the movie.
fuck
like,
you guys.
yeah.
Fuck you guys.
if you were just puking your guts out, but in the background was the movie playing, if it wasn't in French, you'd still.
Or shitting your guts out while in the background the movie was playing.
Well, no, you shit him back in.
Well, Chris, I'm sorry that I picked a foreign film during your stay
I
on
think-
the bathroom floor,
I
so
think-
you couldn't follow along.
I think Chris's gastrointestinal system gave his review of the film.
Yeah, just as a heads up to the listening
Uh,
audience, Chris unfortunately suffered a bout of food poisoning, I think, during
Or
the film.
something.
I think
chocolate
I just
poisoning.
partied too
Yeah,
hard.
or
Yeah.
some kind of voodoo curse.
He had too much wolf spirit, really,
Yeah,
and
he
he
was
had to,
howling
his
it
body
out.
had to howl it out.
Because
Is what happened.
funny.
nobody else got food poisoning, so
No.
and everybody ate what I ate.
Well,
I
they
ate
say it takes like
pizza
18
and
hours for that
something.
shit.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's something you ate like the day before.
Oh, anyway, well,
So this is the podcast where we talk about foodborne illness.
yeah.
And
Chris-
washing your hands before
Chris's
preparing food.
How to Avoid Food Poisoning will be on the Food Safety Podcast.
Yes.
Coming up later.
Stay tuned.
Directly
Safe food
following
handling.
the esteemed Dr. Matt's World of Science.
Okay. So now that we've
Look
had
for that on the upcoming Cinemarijuana podcast channel.
Brief editorial.
now that we've had our synopsis, this movie starred Francois Cluzet as Philippe, Omar Sy as Driss, Audrey Fleurot as Magali, and Anne Lenny as Yvonne. So Kenzie,
Great.
who's in the Bone Zone?
Definitely the two main characters. Mm-hmm.
What about that?
What about the
redhead?
chicks?
Well, I mean, the main chick was really pretty, obviously.
Would you?
Okay. Yeah.
With
I
the
mean,
girl?
Yeah.
What if you
She's
could
like
do? What
drunk,
if
you
you?
The
guys
Could,
are
whole
drunk?
main cast. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I could get into that. Like, yeah, sure.
Okay. So
Word.
so then really the whole you would say that everybody's more or less in the Bone Zone.
Everyone in the movie is good looking
All
for the
right.
most part.
That's, yeah, it's
Fantastic.
it's very handsome cast.
Yeah.
I think I think that's going to be a huge boon to all of France in boosting their spirits in light of the recent events.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think it's
totally.
important that
Stay
you know,
stay
that-
hot, France.
Right.
Said, "Fuck
Stay
about prayers."
stay in the Bone Zone,
Let
France.
this film
Well-
boost you,
Sexy.
and
Yeah.
not some group.
Yeah. And I actually it was interesting. Actually, I did think in retrospect, not to derail this thing, it was interesting that just by absolute coincidence, we watched a French film like the day
The
after
day
that
after, I
shit
think it
went
was.
down in Paris at the Bataclan.
Well,
And
let's
other places.
we should
Kind
hear
of.
Wait,
why we saw that movie.
I have something to add.
To the
before
bone
Oh,
we
zone.
okay,
do that.
okay, please.
Okay, the main character, Philippe, looked like a bunch of different actors.
Yeah, he
Right?
did.
True.
I just wanted to point that out.
Which ones?
I don't know.
Bob Gutton.
I don't know.
Of course,
Bob
Merritt Stone.
yeah, Cyril Delavanti.
Joe Don Baker.
I could definitely see
Dustin
that.
Hoffman. I saw Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
a lot.
I did too.
I saw a little Pacino when he had the beard.
Yeah,
With the full beard, he sort of looked like Pacino with
Sure.
the beard.
sure.
Maybe
okay.
it was Dustin Hoffman. He's such a great actor.
Yeah, he's so good. Do you have anything to add to that,
No.
Kenzie? Okay, excellent. Okay, so we're gonna start doing this round of things a little bit differently. Instead of having the person say why they picked it and then come back to them to tell their thing. We're just going to start. We're just going to start with whoever picked the film, and just tell us why you picked it, and then tell us what
as
you
part
thought
of your
it.
whole
Oh, as
thing.
part of
And
it.
then, and
Just
then,
the
with,
whole-
and then
yeah.
with your 3 words.
Okay.
Just blow your
All
whole
right.
wad in one go.
Yeah, pretty much. There's no reason to fucking jump around. all over the
Okay,
place.
here we go.
All right, so let me bust out the Cinemarijuana hourglass.
All right, aim
And,
it. Open your mouth, kids, because here it comes.
Okay, Dr. Matlis, tell us about the Intouchables. Go.
Okay, well, first of all, just picking a film. I saw this movie when it came out, well, shortly after it came out, I'm sure. Probably wasn't in super popular release over here. But so I saw it a few years back and kind of forgot about it, actually. I mean, I really enjoyed it at the time, but trying to get a pick for this theme, I found it to be really hard. I was going through the lists on Wikipedia, like, oh, buddy flicks. Like, what do I pick? I couldn't come up with anything good. And then I finally remembered this one. I was like, there we go.
Bang.
That's the one.
That's the hot
that's-
fire you're looking for.
Yeah. It just jumped right out once I remembered it. But yeah, I really enjoy it. It's just such an uplifting kind of movie. I would say, look, so it is based on a true story.
It is.
As far as that, I think it probably departs from that like pretty quickly. There's a
Yeah.
couple things like in the movie that I have like little problems with. I mean, it does seem to be like a little bit like ultra idealistic in certain ways.
Right.
The like when all the other guys are interviewing for the caretaker position, they almost go they like go out of their way, like the directors, to make them like super stuffy, you know, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't think that like a
Of course.
caretaker in any kind of professional capacity would be like that that stuffy.
That yeah.
And- yeah.
That much of a stick up their
yeah.
ass.
But other than that, I mean, it's just the personalities in the film just make up for any.
They radiate.
Yeah, they really do, and you do fall in love with the characters, and Driss, the young man, is so irreverent and just cares. He doesn't take into he doesn't pick up that the kind of rich person's lifestyle like carries any weight at all.
Right.
You know? So he's just going off of kind of the wisdom of the streets, I guess. And
That's all he's got, really.
That's what he's got. And
Yeah. But it works to
other
his
than
advantage.
other than kind of being sort of, you know, hip young black man teaches stuffed up kind of white guy to be cool. I feel like that's kind of been done
Right.
more than a couple times.
Yeah.
But other than being like a kind of recycled theme, it's just a great movie, and you, like watching this, you'll end up smiling at the end.
Yeah. Okay. What is? Give us your 3 words
Oh, 3 words
for the
I forgot about
Intouchables.
this. Let's see, uplifting symbiotic relationship.
All right. Well, that'll bring it to me because we're just going to go clockwise. So, yeah. All right. Yeah. This was a fun.
I had to check. Sorry.
This was a fun film. At least it was fun in the group. Certainly. We had a blast with it here, watching it all together. The movie has a good sense of humor. The jokes are funny and they went over well here, which was really pretty cool. The characters are definitely they're definitely appealing and they're likable, and the story you know, to the point of almost like maybe a little over the top. It like kind of tugs on the heartstrings, like to like draw you in. You know what I mean? And very successfully. I was trying to think of some jokes like Chris. I was trying to think of some jokes to upstage Chris, but there was just some pretty low hanging fruit. All I came up with was that Driss is the chocolate chip in Philippe's cookie, which actually,
Very apt.
yeah, I guess right. Which is
Very apt analogy.
I guess I didn't even really write that joke, anyways. And the other thing, The other one I wrote was The Odd Couple, more like The Nod Couple, right? Because that's all he can do is nod.
Well, he could turn his head. Oh, that's also nodding. Like he's
Yeah.
nodding no.
Yeah.
Nod couple.
Okay. Wow. Maybe I won't do this next week. Dang it.
Don't quit your day job.
What is this?
This is his day job.
I
Quit your day job.
I will say that I don't know if critically there was an issue with it kind of being like, race is such a sensitive issue, but you've got like hip black guy brings stuffy white guy, teaches him to be cool, kind of, which I think might be like a trope. But that's better than
it is the magical Negro trope.
But that is, that is better though than the white man picks black man up out of the gutter and shows like Hancock.
He's a French Hitch.
Yeah, and rather than a French Hancock.
Yeah, exactly.
Hitch or Hancock, I guess. Will Smith has given us both like opposites of this spectrum.
Well, because Will Smith is the ultimate black man for white people.
Well, what about Denzel?
Nah, Will Smith, I think more.
$40 million a picture.
Will Smith greater than Denzel.
Maybe.
Greater and not equal.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
You don't see Denzel in Scientology.
That's yeah. He gets my vote for sure. So yeah,
Denzel's the working man's black man.
But no, it was fun. It was fun. Obviously, like I said, there's a couple of I think obvious criticisms of the film that we'll probably get into a little more in the second half of the podcast here. But I thought it was pretty cool, and certainly this is the kind of film that like. If you have friends that aren't super into film, like they'll obviously, I don't think they're gonna like nitpick this one out. You know what I mean? So
this is a good entry level foreign film.
Yeah, exactly. If you're
like Kenzie was saying, the fact that she got over the subtitles, like she didn't notice the fact.
Exactly.
It's very easy to get in there, and it's not. It's not a hard. I mean, you could set this movie in any country basically, and it would still work. It's not dependent on any kind of like social things from the country that it's from or anything.
Yeah,
like
so
that.
you could, you know what I mean, or like to get like kids or like your boyfriend or girlfriend or a family member that like doesn't. That isn't as much into film. This would be a good gateway film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Approachable.
So my 3 words are earth, wind, and fire.
Oh,
Nice.
All right.
perfect.
Let's take it to Zeb.
I saw this film.
Go ahead and tell us about it.
I was not here.
But you saw it anyways.
I saw it anyway.
Excellent.
Good work,
And I wrote
Zeb.
notes
Playing
while I was
catch up.
watching
All
it.
right.
Double good work.
Let's hear it.
My notes include stuff like trope, white savior, or magic Negro.
Yeah.
That's what I kept
Wow.
thinking throughout.
No,
the
it really
film.
is a trope. I wasn't just being
Yeah,
racist.
it's like
No shit.
Yeah.
is the magic think of the Green Mile, the Legend of Bagger Vance, Hitch.
Okay, yeah.
Where
no,
this
you're
hip black
absolutely
guy
right.
comes in and uplifts
even
the
Song
white
of the
people.
South.
Or
Song of the South is totally magic.
Or
Negro
is
trope.
it a white savior film trope
True.
where this guy teaches this inner city guy about the fine arts, classical
He gets
music,
some painting.
Yeah.
He gets some appreciating like all these things in culture and stuff.
Asian hand jobs,
Yeah.
which are not afforded to the people of the inner city community. Just to let you guys know.
You mean ear jobs?
They're for the elite.
Why can't black dude get his shit together? Was one of the things I wrote.
Well, what? Didn't he kind of not want to? Wasn't it? Wasn't
like,
there?
oh, I got hired. All of my life problems are saved.
He was apathetic, I guess, to success.
Was he this happy in prison?
Did he care that little?
Yeah. Why is he not using these skills in real life to better himself or his family? I think, like, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like the worst film I've ever seen, but it was just like, okay, yeah, it's there.
Right.
I had, believe it or not, I had this DVD still in the wrapping from a used video lot that I bought a lot of DVDs from. So when I saw that you guys saw The Intouchables, I'm like, oh, I know where that is. There it is. I'll take it out of the wrapping.
And so then when you were done, you were trying to like shrink wrap that shit.
No, it was just like in the middle of after the first 2 acts, I went, you know what? I got shit to do. So I took the movie out, did my stuff, and I finished it Thursday night going, okay, all right. The third act, I would say, is probably the strongest point of the film.
Right.
The first 2 acts, I was like, where the hell is this film going to? Because this guy just comes in and acts like the magic Negro, like, oh, classical music? I don't know no classical music. We going to the opera? That lady singing. Oh, she's singing German. Whoa, lordy, lordy, lordy. Like I imagine him doing that in
By the way,
prison, like
that was an amazing French impersonation.
like, oh, vous aimez tortilla? Je voudrais une tortilla. Like I was thinking, like, what is this? Like, he got out of prison serving 6 months, and he's like probably like going, "Oh, Lordy Warden, they're gonna have a riot." And it was like, really?
It's a different cultural thing in France.
Yeah,
it's
but
not quite
the trope is still
here.
there. The trope is still there.
True.
That he just comes and is like, "Oh, everybody's got to let loose. I got black musicians.
Actually, that is interesting. I
got
wonder if
Negro music y'all can listen to. Listen, uppity French people."
I wonder if like a French critic would agree with that.
I know the British critics would,
based on a French worldview. That's interesting.
And then another word I wrote was, "Don't breed them if you can't feed them."
Wait, what?
All right, hey, there you go.
Don't breed them if you can't feed them.
That's about as
like when he was talking about his aunt. I'm like, his aunt's a whore. Like I just wanted to go like, you do realize your aunt was probably a prostitute, right? It's like, oh, different guys would come over and like she would get knocked up again. It's like. She was a prostitute. She was a whore. Am I the only one that sees this?
Well, it just
Yeah,
I
I remember.
I mean, maybe it was just
it's a great intro to foreign films for people who are afraid of foreign films, and everybody. There's a whole lot of people out there that hate subtitles.
Yeah. Oh.
So
geez.
get over that. This film is good for people like that. But other than that, I thought it was kind of middle of the road. Nothing too spectacular.
Right.
Nothing below that. Just I would give it a 3 if we were still using the star system. So I'll give it my 3 words. Driving, Monsieur Daisy.
Okay. All right, John, take it away.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed this movie. It was a lot of fun. It was great that it got to deal with sort of like these tough subjects without ever being too tough to watch, which I know is something that the critics complained about, is that it was a little too...
I wonder if they would have preferred there been an ass emptying sequence.
Well,
I just saw your shirt.
There was. I mean, they didn't show it on camera, but there was.
Maybe they wanted more. Maybe they wanted more.
That was a turning point when he was
emptying.
able to empty his ass.
Yes.
That's when you knew he really reached it as a person. I wrote down notes, which I thought were clever, and then I read them now a week later, and I know what the fuck I was thinking.
At least I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I was writing.
The first one at the end, Driss should have started spinning around like Bill Murray at the fountain scene in Ghostbusters. Which I guess would have made it even more idyllic. And then I also put that it was during the birthday dance party scene that I knew it wasn't going to end well, which ended up not being true. I was expecting actually a tragedy to strike this movie because everything was going so well. I was expecting that, like, especially when he like went away, I thought he was going to like have like some kind of an attack or a stroke or something or die. And then my last note, I put blackwashing in other movies and media too, which I think was a potential question I was going to suggest. The idea of because and I know we're going to discuss the original guy wasn't black. The movie that is based on.
Oh yeah, he was Armenian or Algerian.
I think and I mean he grew up in the same area. He still grew up in poverty, and like so he was basically the same kind of character. They just they had worked with that actor before who played Driss, and they really liked working with him, so they just wanted to cast him in the role. And so I think it was something that I could see talking about the idea of whether or not race should be interchangeable in roles.
Yeah.
Which I know every time they change like a comic book character, like when they change Johnny Storm or Nick Fury to like black, like people kind of lose their shit. And I mean, I can see it being sort of like racist to have a problem with it, but it's also sort of racist to do it because then you are sort of just reducing color. I mean, race just being a color and like to make it just like, oh, we'll just make him black. Like bling, he's black now. There you go.
Yeah, yeah, right. It says I'm looking forward on the wiki. It says the ethnicity of the guy.
Well, it's taking you a long time to find out.
There's a lot of information.
But yeah, no, it's like this movie is really fun. It's heartwarming. You don't get the tragedy, so that's great too. That you can like watch a movie like this that deals with, like a lot of sad stuff, but you leave happy.
Yeah, and
it's uplifting, and even the little kind of true story message at the end where you get the thing with reality. Is touching and a positive thing. So it's a fun movie.
All right, your 3 words.
I really had a hard time coming up with 3. So it's just it's Driss, Philippe, buddies.
All right. Kenzie, before we get to you, I feel I should mention that this film was tremendously successful overseas.
Well,
it's either the most successful French film in like every country it was released in, or like at least the most successful in a long time.
Well, but except for the two countries that didn't do well in was England and America. The English critics hated it. English panned it,
which we'll also talk
and
about.
And America, it didn't get accepted for the Academy Awards.
But they were rejected for that. But it does mention. That it says with more than 30 million tickets sold outside of France, it is the most successful French film shot in French since at least 1994. Topped the charts in Germany for 9 weeks, Switzerland for 11, Austria for 6, Poland for 3. Highest grossing movie in a language other than English.
Wow.
The Caretaker was Algerian.
Okay. United States, 4th highest grossing French film since 1980. In Germany, most successful French film shot in any language since 1968. In Italy, most successful French film shot in French since 1997. In Spain, second most successful French film shot in French. I know it is the most successful French film. French film ever in Japan. And so in tons of countries, this film was a big deal.
Well, and it doesn't really surprise me just because people like a feel-good story.
They do. And let's see how Kenzie liked it. Kenzie, tell us.
Okay. Well, I think it's my new favorite foreign film because, like I already said, the subtitles didn't really get in the way of anything.
Yes.
That being said, I wish Condi were here because he would have said how amazing this movie was and how he can't get enough of it and blah, blah, blah.
Sounds about right.
My favorite part is when he goes blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he always says that.
No more blah, blah, blah.
I don't think it's that good. I mean, I liked it, and I would recommend it to people. I already have, but to me, it wasn't very realistic, and but I don't know. I expected to cry a lot more, and I expected bad things to happen, and they really didn't. I did cry at the very end, though. Of course, did anyone else?
I was.
No, I don't think anybody.
Of course, you were crying.
There was one point I felt like a slight twinge, but it wasn't anything that was going to like push me like over that edge at all.
Yeah.
I think maybe if it had something tragic that happened, maybe like the critics, at least the English ones, maybe would have felt it had a little more weight.
Perhaps.
It was a little fluff piece.
Yeah. Continue.
Okay, well, one thing is based on the beginning of the movie, like the first 10 minutes or 5 minutes, I totally thought it was going to be a completely different storyline, so I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was going to be some weird, like, now the old guy is into crime because he's dying, so who cares?
I thought it was going to be a crime thing, too.
Yeah, it looked like a heist picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts off in a really cool way.
Yeah. Oh, okay, my 3 words. Okay. Threesome, please, because I did like those 2 guys.
That's a lot more than 3 words.
Threesome, please, isn't enough.
Threesome, and then
please.
threesome
is one word.
Threesome, please.
Bitch.
Threesome, por favor.
Yeah.
Si vous
thank
plaît.
you.
That's 4.
Monsieurs?
That's 4. They'll know Spanish.
Threesome, please, guys.
Ménage à trois.
There you go.
There you go. Nice.
C'est le français.
Well done, Zeb. That's
and
what
then
it is.
also because I don't like crying in front of people. Yay, few tears.
Okay.
That's
It's like
it.
that shampoo. No more tears.
Oh, man.
Okay. Chris, would you like to take 3 minutes to tell us about your time on the bathroom floor?
I don't know if I can fill 3 minutes.
Well, let's just try.
But
Go ahead.
I would like to take the time to apologize because I did not make it through this film. I made it about halfway, and then was in the bathroom for the remainder, deep into the night, vomiting and shitting my brains out. Very ill. But I will say, up until that point, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. And you guys seem to really enjoy it too, because you motherfuckers were laughing like crazy in there.
It would be cool for you to have that experience of getting our reaction through the bathroom door without knowing what we were reacting to.
It is. What is
to
that
a foreign film, so
perspective?
you
Like
can't understand what's going on.
So you got no idea what's actually happening, but just hearing.
But you know it's good.
I felt like the chef in that He-Man video of
Because of
when I
because now it was time for cake.
Did
Now
you-
it's time for cake.
Did you feel like a chef because of the rank bowel stew you were cooking up in the can?
yes,
Wow.
yeah, I was man.
It
It was jambalaya time. Jambalaya. But
I took the Halloween decorations down, so the witch's hand wasn't clawing out of the toilet tank anymore.
But it was a great sentiment, like to follow what happened in France, because it took a tragedy and made it funny. I thought it was pretty cool.
No, that's it.
It was very
well,
appropriate.
no.
Fun, the musical.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
No.
No, certainly.
Holocaust.
Well, no, I can kind of get down. It did. I mean, there was sort of a message of tolerance. I think on some level, Driss. I'm sure part of
He
his
had to tolerate the rich white people.
no. I'm sure part of his his apathy
both
towards
ways.
society is probably as a result of, and I'm just speculating here, being marginalized or made to
Sure.
feel like shitty on some level, if not racially, because of his economic status.
Yeah.
So it is.
Senegalese.
So the film is about like bridging a gap and sort of people from different places in like coming together.
The rich and the poor, and then the feebled and the
and the feebled and
Able-bodied.
the non-feebled.
Yeah, the
the
unfeebled-bodied.
enfeebled and the unenfeebled.
I
Pre-
feel like
pre and
there's a
feeble,
good
but
joke we're
Peter
missing
Jackson's
here.
Meet the Feeble.
Okay.
A very good inappropriate joke.
God, that movie was terrible.
Okay.
Meet the Feebles.
Jeez. Okay.
Meet
The
the
only
Feeble.
thing I did think of
Better than The Hobbit.
to say was that this is the
Good
French
point.
Hitch. So
Yeah.
that's
La
we
Hitch.
already said that. La Hitch. It is La Hitch. But
Yeah.
Magical Negro.
Okay.
no, I thought it was great. I really
So
enjoyed
you-
the parts that I saw. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
You want to give us a total of 6 words then? 3 for the movie and 3 for the can.
Okay, for the movie, I didn't think of this. Let me think right now. Yeah, for the movie, it's dude, he brought soul, I guess.
He brought soul.
He brought
Excellent.
soul.
Okay.
And for the
and
can,
then for the can would be which end now? That's gonna be it. For me.
Excellent. Okay.
Oh.
All
Now
right.
the can. Did you enjoy the scented candle?
It wasn't in there.
The scent that scent was blotted out within the first 15 seconds of.
it actually blew the flame out when
What?
he went in.
The oxygen was depleted.
Okay. All right. So it's time to get into our balls deep section where we talk about.
Balls deep.
We talk
Lay
about
balls
the
deep.
lay balls. So actually, Jason Land, who will be here tonight but is not here right now, he actually tweeted in a question for us, and so
Ooh.
we'll go ahead and get started with his question actually tonight.
All right.
Let's see. So his question was. He says, in the Can't Participate, ask aloud about the general lack of conflict and how that influences the critical versus public reception. Okay, well, actually, that's a good sort of add-on to my question. So I guess we can kind of combine the two questions because the one I had written down was why is there such a great divide critically for this film? Because
For what I think, at least with the British critics, it's just the fact that there wasn't any kind of a bite or a punch to it. Like if anything,
as Land suggests, the general lack of conflict. You think at least for British critics, that's what took the ass out of the picture.
Well, yeah, it's kind of for the same reason. Like I don't like Forrest Gump, for example. Like it's not that I don't actually
It
like
lacks weight,
Forrest
though.
Gump. Right? It's like, but like, how do you not like
Forrest
Forrest Gump?
He likes some sort of Forrest Grump.
You
Yeah.
make you make this just this
Kevin.
this total Americana feel good picture that you got this beloved actor in it and stuff, and there's no way you can see that movie and not like it, and that makes me not like it.
Kevin Murphy devotes
Don't
a
tell
whole
me what to
chapter
do.
in his book to how much he hates Forrest Gump.
Oh, okay, well there you go. Right? Yeah. See, and it's kind of I can
He
see.
calls it the magic idiot film, where
Right.
you're supposed to root for him because he's an idiot, but he's doing all this wonderful
all this good
stuff.
stuff's happening. Yeah.
Like Anakin Skywalker,
Right,
in the
or Jar Jar
prequels,
Binks.
or Jar Jar Binks, yeah.
And so I can see the
Or Marty
critics,
McFly.
at least the British ones, that
No.
being why they wouldn't like it is because it. Yeah, there's no
But it's
nothing.
Le Negri Magique.
Well, but but that, I mean, maybe especially in this day and age, maybe those tropes are getting a little bit overused or just too cliched, and just having a movie that deals with both like poverty, inner city youth and crime, and paraplegia, or whatever, quadriplegia, having
Great
being
Who
so,
album.
being so happy maybe isn't, critically at least the best way to go.
Right. Well, because I just want to,
It had me shitting on the edge of my seat.
No wonder there was such a mess in the bathroom.
I can't believe that joke came back. Did you shit on the edge of your seat?
I felt it needed some, not a forced conflict like a Seth Rogen film.
Shit.
Well,
Well,
no,
'cause
look
there
at
was-
Superbad. Look at the 40-year-old virgin. It follows the 3-act
I love Seth
play.
Rogen.
I know you love Seth Rogen, darling. I'm sorry.
Sugar
But-
tits.
You heard,
Sorry,
Seth?
sugar teats.
Yeah,
Sorry, sugar teats.
Sugar teats.
No, but if you look at like those types of film, like Pineapple Express, the 40-year-old version, any Judd Apatow, Melissa McCarthy film, it starts off as funny, funny, funny. Oh, buddy, buddy, buddy. Oh, tragedy.
Yeah.
We're breaking up. I'm angry at you. Overcoming the odds. Happy ending.
It's
That's
like that
the
episode
standard-
of Mr. Belvedere where he befriends that big bully, that big guy Moose, whatever his name is, and then he turns out
We
he
just
doesn't
have
want to
total
be friends
recall
with
on
him.
every Mr. Belvedere
He
episode.
doesn't want to be friends with him because he's like a dud. Like the girl
Wesley,
doesn't
you got to be
him.
friends
Hey,
with him.
do you think that 40 years in the future, right, when they release the anniversary version of the 40-year-old version, it'll be called the 40-year-old version?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yes.
You're welcome, society.
Okay. Well,
But the conflict, if there was going to be conflict, it needed to be natural, not forced, is what I'm trying to say.
right.
And I felt the movie could have benefited from expanding more of the backstory of the two gentlemen, and maybe seeing the parallel between both of their lives. He may have had a difficult life, and Dries may have had a difficult life.
right.
I would have liked to see more of their home life without each other than with them
Right.
together. Because with them together, it was just like, we're going to do some fun shit
It's just
today.
good
We're going to go
times.
paragliding. Oh, Lord, boss, I never been in an air. I seen a peanut stand. I seen a rubber band. I never seen a magic Negro fly.
It was like Mary Poppins. Like they're just having fun.
Please do
Shit
not
all the
forward this
time.
podcast to the
I will say, yeah, I know, right? Jesus. It's just, you're just
For
gonna listen,
educational
when
purposes
people listen to it on SoundCloud, it's like beep beep beep. Like,
It's redacted by the NSA.
I will say, there was small instances of adversity, like Driss leaving, like the thing with the girlfriend that he thinks doesn't show up.
But even then, it's kind of
There's
very
it's little moments.
but they're very little. Like when Driss leaves, he leaves because his cousin's in trouble.
No, he told him to leave. He's
And then-
like, leave me so you could take care of your family.
and
Right.
then a couple minutes later, his cousin's no longer in trouble, and then he goes back, and everything's happy.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, so just while we're on the subject
Well,
of the
even
critical,
with the restaurant
yeah,
thing, he doesn't get
John's
stood up.
kind of proving my point with the third act. Like the first and second act, to be grammatically correct, he's just like doing the Magic Negro step and fetch, like Lordy boss, classical music. What about Earth, Wind, and Fire? So that all changes in the third act when he comes back, and it's like something completely different. Whereas now a very meaningful film where both of those guys understand that they feed off one another to kind of expand and make their lives a little bit better through this friendship that they developed, rather than going on these weird adventures just for the sake of going on these weird adventures to show you how stuffy the white guy is and how bored the black guy is.
Right.
That was like my main gripe with the film. But the third act kind of saved the whole film altogether. I felt.
Well, and that was the most really because Driss was facing the adversity then too with the whole. Just to get it on record here, a couple of the negative comments. This coming off of Rotten Tomatoes. Stacey Lane Wilson, there are much better contemporary movies about dealing with the dynamics of being handicapped or wheelchair-bound and overcoming obstacles, such as Rust and
Example.
Bone Armor, The Diving Bell, and The Butterfly. Michael Nordine of the LA Weekly says, gives its subject too light a treatment for the life-affirming message to feel earned. Margaret Pomerans from At the Movies in Australia says, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it, but I think it also tries too hard to please that audience, and it just shrieks, aiming at that middle bar. David Stratton at the Movies in Australia also says that the problem is that if, while you're having a good time with these characters, you start to think about the wider implications of the film, you might find yourself somewhat less enthralled. So, yeah, it seems like the lack of any true adversity in the film.
It just makes it a little too easy of a pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of speaks to the point of like, oh, some people should make a movie about this event that happened.
Right.
But the thing is, if you look at that event, there's not really anything. You need some conflict in a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Regardless.
Exactly.
You got to root for somebody, whether it's the good guy or the bad guy. Argo is a perfect example of this, where they had to create some adversity. Do you think there was that one hostage that was like, oh, no, I'm not following your plan. That is stupid plan.
Right.
No, all of them were probably like, get us the fuck out of Iran right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm
Like,
sure.
when I looked at Argo, I was like, that feels kind of forced.
Yeah.
That feels kind of forced. But, like, I don't know. There needed to be some conflict, whether it was between the two or their families or something.
Yeah.
I was expecting the family to do something. I was expecting somebody to die. But what would be more impactful, the white guy dying or the black guy dying?
Well, how is the black guy gonna die?
Get shot.
Some kind of mob
Hit
hit
by a
'cause of the
car.
cousin
Yeah.
thing.
He not he.
No, I
The
would've
car's
tried
parked out
harder if
front.
But
the
that
white
changed
guy
the
died.
movie, though.
He when he's leaving, he goes to bug the guy who's parked in the wrong place to move his car. The guy's like,
And that
pop,
guy
pop.
shoots him.
What if, right, they're in a car accident, right, and Driz is paralyzed, but the other guy gains the ability to walk again?
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that. Oh my god.
That's
awesome.
I think this
Would they
movie.
stay together?
I think it could have benefited from like an asshole landlord, maybe.
Gaping.
Try to put him out on the street.
Or a
In a project?
Yeah, definitely.
a board of directors
Yeah.
of this company, something.
Or
That would
crusty
increase.
old dean.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Okay. All right.
But
So
the
I
thing
thi-
is that, but getting to the point was, this was based on a true story that had no conflict.
right.
But if you look at the history of the two men,
There was conflict
There
in
was
their
conflict in
lives.
there. So that's why I'm saying, like,
Yes.
there's this
It's a good segue.
relationship. It could have been a more elevated movie if they expanded on both of their backgrounds.
Okay. Well, that is the perfect segue into the next question. So, where should we go with this one? The race one or the
Well,
truth
do they
one?
have to be true? I mean,
Okay, so yeah, so do movies that are supposedly based on truth or true stories, or I don't want to say this was by no means a documentary, but a non-documentary
it's
film.
part of their marketing campaign,
Does-
based on a true story.
Right, and a lot of
Yeah.
films tend to rely on that, be like, hey, this is based on a true story, this is based on fact, at least in some part.
How loosely based on a true story is it?
Well, no, not this specifically.
But just
Any.
films in general.
But do films have a responsibility or an
Captain
obligation
Phillips,
to
for
be as
instance.
accurate as possible? Like take that's a great that's a great example, because Condi's dislike of Captain Phillips
right?
was because he doesn't believe that in real life Captain Phillips was. I don't want to say that Greengrass portrayed him as a saint, but he certainly portrayed him as a guy on the up and up, and he was pretty on top of his shit.
The ordinary man.
Right. And according to some people who were involved,
Including, people on the ship.
that's not actually the way it was. So hence Condi's disdain for the film. So I guess the question is, do films have an obligation to be as accurate as possible? Kenzie, you want to?
Well, I think it depends on to whom they're obligated. Is it like the audience to give them the most interesting story?
Holy shit! I never even thought of that.
Or is it to the person who this has happened to in real life?
Well, I guess the argument would be that if it's not the less true it is, the more of a disservice they're doing to their audience as well as to the people who are really being.
True.
I guess, but people
But
could also
by-
benefit from being made to look like a superhero. I guess
Biopics. Authorized biopics.
Yes.
There was that Beach Boys movie that got released this year that told all the story of the Beach Boys, warts and all. The Beach Boys wouldn't allow them to license their music.
Right.
But it told everything about the Beach Boys. Now, there was another film coming up about Freddie Mercury, and it was going to be this warts and all biopic. But the members of Queen vetoed it because they felt it portrayed Freddie Mercury in a harsh light.
Right.
And they wanted something a little bit better.
Right. Or like Straight Outta Compton did that too.
Exactly.
Where they conveniently leave out like Dr. Dre, like beating like his girlfriend or whatever. You know what I mean? And the bad stuff. But I
Or,
mean,
getting back to Argo, the Canadians helped us a lot in that extraction.
Right.
And it was like, oh, this is all Ben Affleck and the CIA and Bob Gutton too.
I just think when you've got, because movies are entertainment first and foremost, and I think they're always going to. I think the studio wants to make their money back.
Sure.
And I think the guarantee on making your money back isn't truth; it's entertainment. And real life is never as entertaining. Like I was listening to this thing about special effects, and these guys who do the Foley for movies was saying that, every 6 movies or so, some guy will come and be like, "Oh no, like I want it to really sound like real fights. We do these special effects, like guys really punching each other. I don't want that Hollywood bullshit." And they shoot it, and they do that, and they watch the dailies, and it's like, this is terrible, because when people punch each other in real life, it doesn't sound cool.
Yeah.
And then the director would totally flip-flop and be like, yeah, you know what, put in the Hollywood bullshit, because that's what you need. So I think they're always going to change it to be more entertaining.
Right.
And real life is never going to be as entertaining as a movie's going to be. So I think they need to I think it's kind of like treading a line. I don't think you want to lie.
But you got to also think about the long-term implications of this, where people don't really read books or research. They rely on movies for their historical knowledge of what happened.
Right. So
they'll be like, oh, well, I saw Argo, and definitely we were wrong being there, and Iranians and this and that, and it's a very complicated issue.
Sure.
But they have to boil it down to 2 hours, make it entertaining, get their money back, put the butts in their seats.
Right.
You don't get an accurate portrayal of history anyway, though. Like
even
what school books teach you and stuff. I mean, you get obviously the winners write the history books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to the victor go the spoils.
And Texas writes the school books.
Yeah. Well, right, and there's always this strong desire to, I mean, like, I don't mean whitewashing the color sense necessarily, but to brighten things up and to scrub away some of the things and to make
that aren't as pleasant.
Right, and make the good people seem better and the bad people seem worse, and you just leave a few things out here and there. And
I think you can't. Invictus failed to reveal Nelson Mandela's failed presidency of South Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
We should hope for that accuracy, but it's not realistic to expect.
Because I remember, what about and not to we move on to something else, so I don't want to belabor this, but like this was a discussion that came up regarding the Hurt Locker when we watched it, because it's like
all I can think of is Squirt Locker.
or the Shit Locker, right? The retro porno title of the day. We got to start doing that again.
Oh, okay.
Anyways.
Yeah, for real.
So, because it's never explicitly stated, but I believe the implication is when you watch the Hurt Locker, I believe the implication is that it's relevant. That on some level you can use it to inform your worldview somehow, or your view of things that happen with the military and in the Middle East and stuff. But if you read, like I read tons of people that are service people that just wrote lengthy screeds on just how fucking inaccurate
that's the
Hurt Locker was.
That's how they get you to go see it.
It is, but so am I in the wrong to assume that this film is positioning itself as somehow socially relevant and somehow quote unquote important?
The Hurt Locker was not important.
But am I not supposed to think that it is?
They want you to, but they want you to. That's part of the advertising.
Well,
again, gets to the point of you want to make an entertaining film to get your money back. So you got to pump it with action sequences. You got to kind of expand the characters to the point where it's just, what's the word I'm looking for? Where you exaggerate.
Right.
You over-exaggerate the characters.
Yeah.
Case in point, there's a film that was done by Rennie Harlan called 8 Days in August.
Right.
Sometimes called the 8-Day War, starring Andy Garcia and somebody else. I want to say Woody Harrelson.
Right.
No, Val Kilmer.
Nice.
Val Kilmer. I was in the events that took place during that film, and the movie is some bullshit.
Well, there you go.
The thing is, it's always going to be Hollywood. It's like if you like magicians, right?
I don't
and
like
you
magicians.
go see
I
every
feel like
single magician. You travel the world and see all the best magicians. At no point are you ever going to see real magic.
Yeah,
it's always, and the same thing like with Hollywood. Like,
sure,
no matter how much they're going to say, oh, it's like based on a true story, and the accurate events that shock the world. If it's Hollywood, it's always going to be
even
bullshit.
documentaries.
Even documentaries,
right?
Exactly.
Right.
That's a lot of.
Except I would say go ahead to Steam documentary.
No. I'm blanking on the guy's name now. The guy that did Bowling for Columbine.
Michael Moore.
Michael Moore. Yeah, like all the movies that he puts out. It's like, you know, a lot of them I do enjoy, and they are documentaries. He has interviews with eyewitnesses or has like, you know, firsthand footage. But it
definitely has a viewpoint that it's pushing.
It has a message, and he's pushing that message.
And it may eschew certain things that don't, like, you know what I mean, that don't contribute to that.
If on some level, it's always going to be Hollywood hogwash.
Yeah.
If you want to see really good documentaries, I would recommend Errol Morris' The
Absolutely.
Fog of War.
Any Errol Morris documentary
Any Errol Morris,
is amazing.
because he's actually interviewing the subject,
Dude,
as well as The Act of Killing, because they interview the subject and get his opinion, his lens of the thing. And what they did was they made a sequel where they took the other side of the story.
Right.
Rad.
Perfect. That's a perfect documentary.
Yeah.
But if you look at like Harlan County, USA, Sicko, or any of the Michael Moores, there's definitely a slant in there.
Oh, yeah.
And now,
for
like
sure.
everybody's making a fucking documentary. Go to Netflix right now, type in documentary, and see all this other bullshit of Food Inc. Fuck you.
I will say another. I don't know if you saw Errol Morris's the Mr. Death, the Rise and Fall of Fred A. Lichter. Just fucking fascinating shit.
Or Werner Herzog.
Vendors.
And Pina.
Herzog's actually played with it a bit before, like when he did it, like an incident at Loch Ness. Kind of, he's having kind of fun with it.
He enjoys himself.
All right. So the next thing that I think is important to talk about, obviously, as it's, you know, a hot button issue today.
Oh, what is it?
Race obviously comes up. If you bother to look to scratch the surface of the Intouchables, Driss was not black, but in fact Algerian.
You're correct, sir.
So now we already talked about how it's possible that it's an American and British thing to like react kind of, or especially American to like see it one way racially. So it may be different in France. It may not mean shit to them to just put a black guy because maybe they don't think of it that way. But I know here, especially like, you know, in the nerd community, because like, you know, like take the last Fantastic Four movie, they took and they made Johnny Storm black, and there was an uproar about that online. And this is the bummer why Lange and Condi are not here, because I knew they'd fight over this issue.
Damn it, guys.
So like I deliberately put this question in here so they would fight over this.
There's like knives taped under the chairs.
But is it right? Is it wrong?
The lazy boy has a gun.
Is switching the race of a character? Is it? I mean, does anybody have an issue with it? Is it?
I don't. My issue is when it's forced.
Yeah.
When they do it for the sake of creating a diverse staff.
Yeah.
Case in point, Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
George Romero, when he wrote that screenplay, did not mention the race of the character.
Right.
He just picked the greatest actor he could find to fill that role and went with it.
Right.
So when it's like there was some bullshit made for TV ABC fucking thing that happened in like 2000 late 90s where they made a diverse Cinderella, and they were like, oh, look how diverse this Cinderella production is.
Right.
We have a Chinese prince, we have Whoopi Goldberg, we have a gay king. Sorry, I hit the mic there. And it just feels very forced. So when they like force it, like, oh, by the way, the Human Torch is gonna be black. All right, everybody, it's gonna be black. All right, it's diverse. What they should really do is like just say, here's the Fantastic Four. Not even drawing any attention to the blackness. And if nerds have a problem with that, nerds will always have a problem with that. People will always have a problem with that. For this film, I didn't know the dude was Algerian. However, here's where it's different. Because this is supposedly based on a true story.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Where it's the Fantastic, unless the Fantastic Four is real.
Algeria is in Africa, right?
Algeria is in northern Africa.
Okay.
There is a difference.
Okay.
I found that out the hard way.
It's huge.
But they speak French in Algeria, if you've ever seen.
Because France conquered it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bataille de Régie. Great film. A great documentary film, too. That was almost one of my picks. But that's the only time I have a problem with changing a character. Like, Nick Fury's casting was brilliant. I felt.
Sam Jackson was great.
Because you have a capable actor.
Right.
That's the huge difference. Do you have a capable actor that could elevate this character beyond its race?
Right.
No? Then you're just shoving it down our throats.
Yeah, you're discriminating, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that side of it. In one way, I kind of think maybe it's like, because the diversity issue is so weird. I read I made the mistake of reading a Facebook comment thread one time, and it was talking about.
Oh no, this doesn't end well.
It was talking about I think like women in science, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this I think it was a woman making the comment. She's like, "Oh well, the only scientists I know are like all men," because she knows Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Black
And Stephen Hawking,
white,
and she's like, I'd like to see more. I'd personally like to see more women and more LGBTQ people like scientists.
Yeah, somebody, please.
Okay, no, but so what I thought when I read this is like, she admitted earlier that she doesn't know anything about the science world. Like,
well, is this the one who
Bill Nye
chose a women's studies degree?
So no, not even anything to do with that. But the thing is, like, she totally admits, like, most scientists aren't fucking famous, and she's not a scientist, so it's not like she's working in any labs. So how does she know that? Like, there aren't already plenty of women scientists or plenty of LGBTQ. And if there aren't, like, is that because they're not choosing to do so? And how does it?
Well, here's my main problem with that. Like, there's not enough gay directors. There's not enough Mexican Academy Award winners.
Right.
All right. When you say, this is my opinion, of course, but when you say that, you're removing what that person is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, that person is first and foremost a fucking scientist.
Right.
All right. When we have disabled students on campus, we don't say that's a blind student. Oh, that's a deaf student. Oh, that's a gay student.
They're
not to say that gays are disabled.
Disabled, right? No, totally.
No, you say, oh, that's a student with a visual impairment. Oh, that's a student with a hearing impairment. Oh, that's a student who happens to be gay.
With gayness.
Yeah,
afflicted with gayness.
You don't start with the adjective then the noun.
Right.
You start the noun and then whatever they have. It's a secondary thought.
Exactly. It's not what defines them.
Yeah, and so when I hear like bullshit like, well, we don't have enough diversity in the science community, it's like, well, fuck you. I want scientists. That's what I want. I want first and foremost fucking awesome scientists.
Well, absolutely.
And if there is a lack of diversity in the group, then fucking make it accessible for them to get a fucking education to become a fucking scientist.
No shit, right?
Have you guys taken a fucking statistics course? It is fucking bonkers. I just spent 5 fucking days solving this theorem that I forgot to turn in, and Ed, I need to use the computer here after the podcast. I just realized that I didn't hit the submit button.
I would give that criticism more weight if it were coming from scientists. If scientists were like coming out of the woodwork to say, "Yo, we've got a diversity problem here,"
right?
But it's not.
It's people looking.
It's never
for
scientists. Not like I hear this all the time, but nobody commenting saying that was a scientist. So I think it's for somebody on the outside to complain about. I don't know.
It's kind of like what I'm experiencing now within my department. Before Serena was hired as an adjunct, I was the only minority on staff.
Right.
And a lot of people kept coming up to me and going, you're the only Mexican on here. And I'm like, what? I didn't know. Or they'll be like, Zeb, you're Hispanic. And I'm like, I am? Oh, holy crap. I should call my mom. Mom, I'm Hispanic.
Shocked.
Yeah, it's just like, treat me as a fucking human being first and foremost. And if you want to talk race later, that's fine. I'm not obsessed about race. I think we have too much of an issue about race.
Yeah, well, it's
kind of like what's fucking happening now on the college campuses. I could devote a whole fucking podcast to this because I find it complete and utter bullshit. I do not stand with the Black Lives Matter movement. I do not stand with Concerned Student 1950. I don't stand with all these fucking sit-ins. Grow the fuck up, you pieces of shit.
It's kind of like the whole affirmative action thing. It's like in an attempt to make things more diverse, you have to it almost results in sort of racism.
You have to do it organically.
That's
the thing.
exactly.
You can't fucking force
it. Right. It just has to sort of happen because otherwise it's like, even though you're trying to help,
but I think the argument
people just to the color of their skin.
But I think the argument is that it won't happen naturally if we don't address it and sort of force a change.
That's true.
Because if we just accept that it's the status quo and it has to change on its own, will it change on its own?
If nobody makes a stink when fucking 20 dudes are shot in a week,
I will say that if somehow the sort of forcing of integration of that kind of that type of sort of the sort of forcing of diversity like that.
Yeah.
If it pays the dividend that, because I think for those of us because I don't, growing up I watched the Muppets, so I like people of all different colors, and you know what I mean, and different shit. You know what I mean? No. None of the shit. Every show I watched growing up preached tolerance and acceptance and that kind of stuff.
There was a big movement for that.
So when I grew up, it was I just it wasn't a thing. I've never been prejudiced against anybody for that reason. So, but if that's what it takes to get society to where now the status quo is that kind of diversity, and it forces everybody to look beyond it, then maybe it is a worthwhile
because we
thing.
grew up in San Diego and we're pretty diverse down here.
Yeah, it's not really.
I like if this podcast was taking place in Decatur, Alabama, or Cheyenne, Wyoming, I think it would have a different connotation.
Right.
We'd be like, diversity. What's that? I wouldn't. I wouldn't probably even be here.
I mean, like anything though, if you don't encounter it, you don't fucking know what's going on. I tend to think that the most racist people just don't encounter other races.
Exactly.
Because when
that's it. I find the most ignorance is when somebody doesn't have experience.
Yeah.
The people who talk the most shit about marijuana are the people that have never fucking smoked it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Once you know about anything, it's hard. It's a lot harder to hate it because you understand.
You understand.
So.
All right. Well, Jason
you
Land is at the gate.
The same, pretty much.
So it's time to go let him in, and it's time to go
time
to go let that fool in. All right. So that's going to wrap it up for this politically charged
Jesus again
discussion here.
Intouchables, love it. Go see it.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. Check it out.
Is that the message that Seb is trying to get across?
There you go.
I like half of it.
Yeah. So once again, I'm Ed.
I'm TV Zeb.
I'm John.
I'm Condi.
I'm Chris.
I'm Matt.
This has been Las Películas Sábados Gigantes at the Cinemarijuana Theater. We'll be back next week to talk about whatever it is we see tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna watch it right now.
Right now. I
Bastards.
can't
First
wait
clap.
to find out. Doubt.